AKAPADers. Here we go. So throughout the entire week, the big question was, am I going to get back to doing day of themes today, Independence Day, July 4th, birthplace of a nation, all of that stuff? Am I going to get back to this type of flow for the greatest movie podcast of all time, AKAPAD's a film buff podcast, where your host, P. Ray DeLuca, me, well, I bring you the coolest, the best freaking movies you can ever imagine. So the whole big idea was, will I get back to themes? So I spent all week looking at Revolution movies. I was going to do The Patriot with Mel Gibson, The Revolution with Al Pacino. And then I woke up today, and there it is on Amazon Prime. Watch Independence Day. So watch Independence Day. We're going to get into it. Independence Day. Are you guys aware of this movie? Will Smith, Jeff Goldblum, aliens, invasion. Some people like to say the dumbest aliens, but that's not true. These aliens are highly intelligent. I'll explain. We'll get into the movie. A giant blockbuster, a blockbuster of my youth. It's time to get into it.
Down production, take one.
Action!
And here it is. 1996, Independence Day. Happy 4th of July, everyone. Thank you for joining me. If you guys aren't aware, my birthday is July 5th, so I have America's birthday. It is in my blood. Think about in the annals of history. One day, they will discuss 4th of July and my birthday back to back. They will say, what was it like living in America, living on Earth, when two such revered birthdays were back to back? Guys, we have a movie made for $75 million. The script was bought on site, on scene. Huge bidding war for the rights. Hollywood legend. These two guys, Roland Emmerich, Dean Devlin. Roland Emmerich, basically coming off of the 1994 Kurt Russell sci-fi Egyptian other masterpiece, by the way, Stargate, coming off of Universal Soldier, coming off Moon 44, Hollywood monster, Joey, Noah's Ark principal. He had a foreign international, Roland Emmerich, or co-writer director. He had a storied foreign career. He made movies he always got compared to Steven Spielberg. Universal Soldier happens. Dolph Lundgren, Jean-Claude Van Damme, a franchise that's relatively still going to this day. Some of the later movies I absolutely love. Later to bring in Goldberg from WCW and what was it, Universal Soldier, The Return, I believe. But Stargate, I remember seeing Stargate in the theater, and a couple of years later seeing, as a junior in high school, catching Independence Day, saw Independence Day 4 or 5 times straight. I tried to write my first written review to send into a magazine about Independence Day because of the time, I was a jaded, know-it-all teenager. And I picked apart that movie in draft after draft. Never typed it up, though. Never sent it in. I'm not even sure the means I had to even type it up at the time. My typing skills could have been. I would have had giving it to my mother to type up. But, life goes on. And we just learned to appreciate movies and have good times. And the special effects for this film blow my mind every time I see it. I love the music. I love the flow of the story. I love Jeff Goldblum. I love Vivica A. Fox. I love Will Smith. And people act like Will Smith was on one hell of a run during this movie. No, this movie ended his run. I'll explain that in 2 seconds because I want to get into the budget. $75 million and box office. This is not adjusted for inflation. $817 million worldwide. This movie flipped the script. It turned everything upside down, and rightfully so. There's also a extended cut version of this movie where we get a little bit more from the survivors and Vivica A. Fox's journey to St. Andreas, to the base, where she later gets reunited with Will Smith. There's maybe a 5-minute difference between those two movies. Most people don't even pick up the differences or the different scenes. Very similar to the Armageddon extended cut versus regular cut. But Will Smith, right? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. But 1993, jaw-dropping performance, 6 Degrees of Separation. But in 1995, he makes his presence known. And we saw it this year, because what was one of the hot movies of this year? Bad Boys Ride or Die. I saw that. Effing love that movie. But in 95, he launches that franchise now with Bad Boys. Big hit, Martin Lawrence, Michael Bay. His next movie is Independence Day. Huge, one of the biggest movies of all time. And then he follows that up with Men in Black. Huge movie. Tommy Lee Jones, huge movie. Franchise kind of still going to this day. They could make a new Men in Black right now, and it would get eyeballs. But then we get the skid. Are you guys ready? Enemy of the State. Wild Wild West. The Legend of Bagger Vance. Oscar bait. 2001. So he's a little bit of time has passed. Ali, he's back on top. Because Ali, it's not like Ali destroyed the box office. I could not finish watching Ali, by the way. Men in Black 2, Bad Boys 2, back-to-back hits. But then he skids again with iRobot. He really doesn't come back until 2005 Hitch. Makes Hitch, makes Pursuit of Happiness, makes I Am Legend. I love Hancock. And then we're kind of back on a little bit of a skid until, oh my God, maybe, 2016 Suicide Squad. And I'm going very light here. I'm skipping just because I want you guys to get this idea of how hard it is to get a movie like Independence Day. Just how hard it is to get involved with it, to get it made, to get a studio and a town abuzz and talking about it. It's insanely rare. And that's, you can say what you want about the guts and the content of this movie. I love every frame of it. But the time that it was made, the air of the production company, the air of the producers and the people putting the film together and the people marketing the movie and people lining up the merchandise, there was a level of excitement for Independence Day. And you could feel it. Everywhere. ID4. Independence Day. Come on, guys. Roland Emmerich. So we'll start his journey in 1992 with Universal Soldier, because it's Universal Soldier, Stargate, Independence Day. Him and fellow producer, co-writer Dean Devlin, they make Godzilla. Godzilla stumbles, but I do love that movie. Then we get The Patriot, Mel Gibson. So, that's a movie that has 1,000% resonated. There's a lot of people out there that I know that love The Patriot. They love Mel Gibson. They love Revolutionary War. But Roland Emmerich, just as a filmmaker, pretty much still battles and stays on top. Day After Tomorrow is a hit. 10,000 BC, not so much, but 2012 is a hit. White House Down is a hit. Anonymous, a little bit of a run of author thriller movies. There's Anonymous about the anonymous writers that collaborated to create the pseudonym William Shakespeare. But then we also had John Cusack's in Raven. It just seemed to be I think people confuse those movies. But we have White House Down, we have Stonewall, Independence Day Resurgence. But Midway, holy crap did I love Midway, and holy crap did I love the 2022 Moonfall. I had a freaking fun time watching Moonfall. So I don't know what he's working on now. I assume it's something. But the guy's been busy, and the guy's been active in film. Again, we cannot deny Roland Emmerich. I like his movies. When we discuss Independence Day, we really have to jump on the music. David Arnold, his score is absolutely perfect. And I don't want to tarnish any more of his name and his legacy by talking about some of these other movies, because there's two paths for someone who does film scores. Like, you attach yourself to big projects and big directors, or you become a director's hand, so to speak. Only that. That's the only way people know of you. It's just through really good movies. But then you become the career guy. And then as the career guy, the opportunities you get, you have to make something of it. David Arnold, a go-to music score creator, tone, whatever you want to call it. He's a tone creator. He creates tunes and tones. No, but he's a worksmith. So he just works in Hollywood, and he gets hired, and he moves on to the next project. And every once in a while, you're amongst something like Independence Day. Look, guys, he also did Bad Boy. Oh, Baby Boy. Oh my God, I've read that as Bad Boy. Tomorrow Never Dies, Life Less Ordinary, Last of the Dogmen, Stargate. Stargate's fantastic too, by the way. But yeah, we go through his filmography, and we don't see a lot of absolute bangers. Not like a John Williams or like a top tier guy. Okay, well, but at the David Newman, Alan Silvestri, geez, just going through Alan Silvestri's filmography, you're just like, oh my God, what film didn't this guy touch? David Arnold, he's a workhorse. He did the job for Independence Day, and he did the job perfectly. I think everyone who's a contract professional in somewhat of the creative field, that's the best you can hope for, because you may not be amongst this league or amongst the elites, but when you get chances, you execute. So what do I have to say to the people who come in heavy against this movie? I don't know. Learn to have a good time. No joke. Learn to have a good time when you're watching movies. This movie is, again, the special effects, considering that so much of it is practical, almost all of it's practical, optical. I love the footage of them blowing up or sending the fire down the city, where the city's vertical, and they shoot the fire down, and the camera's on the other end, basically on the floor, and the fire it's just really cool stuff, guys. Happy 4th of July. I'm happy just to kind of discuss and maybe bring to light one of my favorite movies to you guys. This is one of my go-tos. I put on my bass, I crank up the sound, and yes, it's a popcorn movie. I can sit down and grab a bowl of popcorn and enjoy this movie. Sorry, can't do that with Schindler's List, but I can do that with Independence Day. Don't you shoot that green shit at me. It's one of the all-time movie quotes. Will Smith. Let's go.
Okay, that's a wrap.